Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is chapter 17 of Touched. This one is titled Daddy. This setting is at the government office. Hawks, the officer in charge said with surprise. What are you doing here? I'm here to see Yin's father, Hawks said as he stood there casually in front of the guard. You got clearance? The officer asked. Hawks chuckled. I'm Hawks. I don't need clearance. Okay, the officer said in a confused voice. He's in holding bay 2. Thanks, Hawks said as he passed the officer and strolled down the clinical-looking hall of the government's secret holding bay. He neared bay 2 and felt for where your father was within the room, locating him with his feathers. He's going to try and do a sneak attack on me, is he? He chuckled. He yanked the door open and in a flash was behind your father, immobilizing him immediately with another specialized hold. He sighed in your father's ear. Gotta be quicker than that, old man. Go to hell, Hawks, your father growled at Hawks as he struggled to get free. Let's have a chat, shall we, Daddy? Hawks jeered. Come with me. He forcefully marched your father out of the holding bay, pushing him in front of himself and channeling him down to the interrogation room nearby. With a firm hand on your father's shoulder, he sat him down in the chair and linked his chains behind and under the clasp on the back of the seat. Comfy? Hawks asked as sarcastically as he strolled around the table that was in front of your father and sat down in the chair opposite. Your old man glared at him the whole time. Okay, Pops, level with me, Hawks said with a smirk as he sat back and crossed his arms casually across his chest. I'm not saying a word, your dad growled. She's beautiful, isn't she? Hawks said in a low, knowing voice. Who is? Your dad snapped. Yin, Hawks said with a laid-back smirk. She's gorgeous, and she's well trained too. I don't know what you're talking about, your dad snarled. Oh, come on now, Papa Bear, don't play coy with me, Hawks cajoled. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Your dad glared at the coy winged hero. She's been practicing, Hawks commented idly as he took his visor off and looked it over calmly. Practicing what? Your dad snapped. Her quirk, Hawks said casually as he put his visor back on. She's very good, subtle, good at picking up when to use it. I've been watching her. Hawks explained with nonchalant calmness. She only has one tell, though. She watches the person to make sure that the quirk has taken the desired effect, and it gives her away. Damn it, your dad growled. It was always the one thing that gave her away. She's developing it quite well, though. It's quite strong, Hawks continued. I've experienced it firsthand. She used it on you? Your dad asked in shock. Relax, puppy. She didn't do it on purpose. I orchestrated it, and I didn't let on that I knew that she had used it on me, Hawks replied smugly. But that's what you wanted, hey, for her to develop it? Your dad glared at the winged hero, then the most evil smirk graced his face. Fine, you got me, he chuckled deviously. What do you want her for? Hawks asked calmly. Espionage work, your dad replied frankly. She's the perfect fit. I know, Pops, I know. It's how you've trained her. She's shy, unassuming, easily controlled by people she trusts, innocent. She's flawless for this type of work, Hawks said. But you've made one fatal mistake. What's that? Your dad asked as his face fell. She met me, Hawks chuckled. Your dad fumed. I have connections, he barked. Connections in the government that want her, and they'll get her. I'll be rich. I'll live a lavish life. I'll have it all, he cackled manically. Wrong, Hawks said with a bright smile. But we won't go into that now. Now tell me who you work for, he said as he deployed a beautiful red feather and turned it around so the pointed end was pushed gently up against your dad's jugular vein in his neck. You wouldn't kill me, your dad said through gritted teeth. Wouldn't I? Hawks asked innocently as he tilted his head to the side. Want to try me and find out? He asked with a smile. Your dad swallowed hard. I knew you were there that day that I first brought Yin home, Hawks said as he curled his hand over to check his nails as he spoke. Wondered why you didn't come out when your wife said my name. Figured you didn't want me to know that you were there. But why? That was my question. Your dad pursed his lips. When I put the 2 and 2 together, that you were Yin's father and the lexical quirk user that got away, I did some background checking. Your brother worked in government, so that's how he was able to cover your tracks and keep your name off the silent registry. But you've been doing a bit of dirty work of your own, haven't you? No cleaner than your relatives. Your dad snorted with amusement and annoyance. You painted yourself as innocent so that your beautiful daughter would look up to you, and she did. You scared her into not using her quirk so you could control her powers. She did what you wanted, She hung on your every word, but then she started to see you for who you really were, hey, a manipulator. Your dad scowled heavily and grit his teeth. Hawks noticed your father's agitation and continued. So you staged a "I need to leave for the sake of the family" stunt, huh? It's clever, I'll give you that. You ducked before she discovered the real you. Your dad snarled angrily. And then what? What's your angle? You were going to have her kidnapped, then come and save her, be the big hero, get back in her good books, but at the same time use her and manipulate her further while still playing hero? It's genius, really, Hawks said with a proud smirk. He had nailed your father's plans in one guess. Shut up. You're talking out of your ass. You know nothing, your dad growled, and the bright feather pushed harder against his skin, causing him to wince. You just keep telling yourself that, Pops, Hawks commented as he looked away with a bored expression. This is why I don't need to keep you alive, because I've already figured everything out, Hawks said as he looked back at your dad, his serious golden eyes burning into your father. They already know everything. The government, they're just as corrupt as always, your dad said. The second in charge is, him. He's been sketchy since the day he was born. Could have guessed it was him, Hawks commented, rubbing his chin thoughtfully. Well, best I go and formulate a plan then. I work for the government, so wouldn't want to miss out on any of the fun, he said as he stood up and recalled his feather. Thanks for the chat, Daddy, he added smugly as he got up and walked around to your father's side of the table, unhooking his chains from the back of the chair, readying him to walk him back to the holding bay. Don't call me Daddy, your father spat angrily as Hawks pulled him up out of the chair. Okay, Hawks sung. Your daughter calls me Daddy. Well, not right now, she doesn't, but she soon will, Hawks said casually. You slimy red-winged bastard, I'm gonna... Your father continued to scream curse words, threats and insults at Hawks all the way back to the holding bay, with Hawks sporting the most smug look on his face that the officers there had ever seen. His yelling doesn't affect you? The officer asked with a perplexed look on his face as Hawks left the building. Nah, headphones, Hawks said with a wink, tapping the side of the headphones. Catcha, he called over his shoulder as he strolled away. The officer shook his head. Such an unusual hero. And that's the end of chapter 17. Stay tuned for chapter 18.